Hey everybody, welcome to Plat Chat, episode 4962. My name's Brennon. I'm the new host of Plat Chat after Matthew Morello has received so many complaints about his hosting skills.
Well, nah.
I am now taking over the duties of this show.
If you believe those people in the YouTube comments, you're just dumb.
I went to HR.
This video will go up on
complaints.
YouTube right after that. Sorry, guys. Not all y'all are dumb, but some of y'all are.
Yeah. Make sure you tag someone who's dumb in the YouTube
Yeah,
comments.
if you know anybody that's dumb, tag them in the comments below.
What if they just tag Mr.X?
Oh, I mean, that's what they're
fine.
going to do. Aren't
Yeah,
they?
that's all they're going to do. This is okay.
How's your week been?
It's all right. Yeah, I went to DC. DC was actually super nice.
Yeah.
The Anthem's
was.
an awesome spot.
It really is.
The hotel, the wharf. I mean, everything was dope about it. Outside of some of the games, some of the games were
Oh
just
my God,
crap,
the games
but,
were
I mean,
so, actually hot garbage. I'm not going to lie.
We're too good.
The Paris-Philly was
Paris-Philly was sick.
good,
It was good, yeah.
but other than that, I was watching this and I was thinking,
New York-Washington was okay. I
Yep,
I
it was
enjoyed
all
parts
right.
of that. I enjoyed
Yeah.
parts of that, and I really enjoyed the meta. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Paris-Philly match was so close to being terrible as well because
Yeah.
the Paris were
almost
just
rolled them.
dominating in the first half. And I was like, well, it's over. And Hero Pools is just utter randomness. We've now just got chaos everywhere.
yeah, that's what it felt like, right?
Philly gave us a little bit of the Philly special, right? Of the
They did,
lose,
yeah.
lose
God,
the first
imagine-
two, win the next two, and then
Imagine though playing dive on Junkertown first. What goes through these teams' minds? I don't
Yeah.
get it. It's too big.
It is too big.
It's too big to be playing dive.
And also, imagine Philadelphia running dive and just getting their shit pounded by Paris.
and then
Yeah.
committing to it again,
Yeah,
and again and again.
I mean, there's no reason that anyone should have predicted Philly in this. Predicted Paris in this match after they just got destroyed by Houston, and then Philly come out and they make them look like gods on the first two
to
maps.
be fair, a lot of that is because of the lineup changes. They put in XC
Yes.
and Nosemite,
Okay.
and they didn't play
Yeah.
Soon and Benbes.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Bren is fired up. He has something to say about this.
I mean, I just love this by Paris though as well because I think this is evidence of the coaching staff doing very well, right? Having a day
no,
turnaround.
no. I would go the opposite
hold on.
way. I would say it's terrible that they actually just overthought things before going into Saturday, and then they were like, okay, maybe you're overthinking it. Maybe we should just let these guys go
where
out
are
and
we
just
drawing
frag.
the barometer of
mean-
good coaching and bad coaching? Are we saying that good coaching is watching your team lose and then making a change and then watching them win and be like, wow, that was
I
a
think
great success?
I think they went into the match against Houston expecting the comp that they were playing to be good, right? The
Yeah,
Mayor
the
Rissa
Sombra.
bunkers, and they were like, "This is how we're going to beat them." Maybe they're disrespecting Houston a little bit, right? But they went into it, and that was their game plan, and it didn't work. And you could see them try to make adjustments after the first two maps, but it wasn't really quite enough. Whereas in this series, they started playing the Winston dive a lot more, but they also played the Orisa comps on the maps where it was suitable.
They were playing Winston dive in the first one. Ben Best was on Winston,
Right.
feeding his little monkey brains
The first
out.
two maps.
Even speaking
for
to
the first half.
speaking to some of the teams and players there, it seems like kind of with Hero Pools, two different things spun out of it is where a lot of coaching staffs are like, okay, this is what teams are going to run. Let's practice something to counter that and just play counter comps the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Or this is what everybody's going to run. Let's mirror it and play it.
It's actually
well.
incredibly difficult. I think a lot of people outside of who aren't players, they underrate how difficult it is to adjust your play style and do planned out things if you're not accustomed to it as a player.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, okay, if you look at NFL, right? If you have a running back and the coach is like, run this route. The running back is like, hey, okay, I'm going to run this route. If you're playing Overwatch, there are so many different elements that go into it that you can't really adjust your play style and just be like, oh, I'm an aggressive Reinhardt. I'm going to be a passive Reinhardt now. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It takes so much time.
You can't rewire your brain.
And that's why Overwatch is harder than being an NFL player.
When I look at coaches overthinking stuff, I'm just like, you're assuming that your players will adapt and conform to your play style and your composition so easily. While in reality, you should probably just let them play their own game and then just have minor adjustments to their game.
Yep.
You all think that they were overthinking it.
I think a lot of coaches, honestly, and I'm borderline flaming here. I think a lot of coaches think they're like, the next Jesus or whatever.
Like,
and they're
like
like,
beyond,
okay,
yeah.
players listen to me, I know best. When in reality, I think a lot of players actually know better than the coaches. And then it's the coaches who should review the player footage and then fix the minor details or fix the mindset and do the small adjustments.
The coaches shouldn't be in control
of
of the team. Like, the coaches should be additive to the team. Put your best players out there.
At
watch
least
the footage, and then just don't like tell people like to change their play style. Just be like, hey, just point out minor things that they could change, minor
one more
situations.
Thing. One more thing, because I see you want to talk as well. One more thing. I think that in GOATs, the past year, that worked really well. Like, coaches having a big impact on the teams. Like, for Krusty or whoever, like, reviewing and adjusting all the small details and, like, playing perfectly. I think that fit long metas really well. Like, double shield, GOATs, etc. Now in hero pools, you cannot expect those perfect adjustments, like, one week to another. And so that's where I'm almost like siding a bit more with like London Spitfire year one kind of thing, where the coaches have like a little bit of impact, but it's mostly the players doing what they feel comfortable with.
But I think the issue with that is, I think you need the coaches to be able to provide insight and analysis on what the best compositions even are to run at the beginning.
True.
Like, when you only have 4 days, you can't just let the players be like, hey, you can't even tell in ranked what the best is.
No,
right?
yeah.
So you can only tell from scrims, and you can only get a proper view of like what's good by watching a bunch of
Can you
different
honestly
scrims.
even get that from scrims?
Probably
It's
not.
like
I think this is
scrims,
the issue. They don't have enough time, and Paris probably genuinely thought that the comp they were going into was the best comp at the time. Until they watched the games of the day and saw all the other teams running a lot more variety, at least because they didn't run that much Winston. They may have ran it on the first match.
Yeah,
they didn't though. They stuck to a lot of Orisa comps, a lot of Orisa May. And it was only until this turnaround when they play against Philly where they changed things up a little bit. I got to give credit to Fusion as well, actually, because they made very good adjustments at the after map 2 as well. I felt like Fusion played like shit in the first 2 maps.
They were so
passive. They were not playing they weren't playing like, I don't want to say instinctual, but they weren't playing taking the initiative at all. And they changed that around and they brought it back to a closer series.
Just to drag it back to the coaching discussion a little bit, this overtime fight was absolutely ridiculous. Like, it was so good.
It was like 45 minutes.
But even think about a map like Oasis. Like, you have to figure out what the best comp is to start with. And then you have to figure out how that goes up against other comps that people are running. And then you also have to figure out like how you take the first fights on every single map and where the best places are to position. And all of that stuff has to be done in 4 days. Like, the fact that teams are able to play decently at all is an absolute miracle. In the world of hero pools.
Well, I think it's just going to get crazier, right?
Well, it shouldn't do next week, right? It should
It should
revert
go back to what happened in week 1.
So maybe we'll see a bit of ping pong in where it's like, okay, 1 week you have the May McCree kind of stuff, and 1 week you have the dive kind of stuff, and
I think
then
it's all
teams slowly learn.
onto, like, for argument's sake, if I would have drawn May instead of McCree, like,
then
who the hell
then
knows,
you
right?
have
Like, I
something
mean,
totally
that's where I think the random element comes into play. Is that like, for argument's sake, I think I saw Diva was like 90% play rate this last week. But then she has the same odds to have gone as like, Winston or whatnot, Rissa. So it's like, well, maybe like in the future, like as time goes on, like that needs to be weighted a little bit. So like we see significant like change instead of flip flopping, because I think otherwise you could potentially get flip flopping.
What do you guys think about the wider viewpoint, right? From what I've seen across the board. People seem quite happy with hero pools because of the variety we're seeing. I personally really dislike hero pools because I like to see teams play a very high level of Overwatch, make minimal mistakes. I like to see the best teams shit stomp the worst teams, and it just drags the bar down.
Here's my take on it. I like hero pools. I'm not exactly completely on board with having everything being played for like a mid-season or a playoffs. Like, I think the system should exist in that capacity. If you're going to use
in the playoffs and the mid-season?
Well, hold on. But I would give the power to the teams for playoffs and whatnot. I would allow them to be the ones who remove the heroes.
What? No.
Yeah,
no,
why not?
Absolutely not.
So you would rather be done by randomness then?
No, I would just allow all heroes.
But then why don't we just allow all heroes all the time then?
Because
we want to create fun.
It's not as fun.
If it was up to me,
it's not as fun. It's not as exciting.
But then you're literally telling me the regular season is just for fun, and then then just wait for the good stuff for the playoffs.
No,
I
think it's different though, because I think that when you're playing a meta for months upon end, like we did with GOATs, then you're sort of just fuck. How am I defending this?
You're not.
No,
You already
I
agreed.
actually will defend this.
Okay.
I think that
It'll
the
be
problem
poor,
is
but you
no.
can do
Okay.
it.
So the problem is we need to find a middle ground because I think 1 week turnaround is too short.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think
definitely.
we should
I mean,
do
that is
Yeah.
obvious.
maybe
We're all in
two,
agreement.
We should maybe
Yeah.
do 2 and 4 weeks. Okay,
4
And
weeks
then,
is too long, I think.
Then you go, well, it's better than freaking 5
1.
months or whatever GOATs is.
Yeah, sure.
And and then we get to playoffs, and then the idea is not as ludicrous anymore because then sort of the same. Even though you're not banning heroes in the playoffs, you're still introducing a new meta, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything is open.
But
Yeah.
then does it get stale after the?
No.
Because the playoffs are just like 4 weeks. So by removing or like allowing all heroes in playoffs, you're sort of doing hero pools, but in a
in
different
reverse,
manner.
yeah.
Right.
But in reverse,
hero
yeah.
So
pools.
to back up Johnny here, for playoffs, you want there to be like the one thing I hate about hero pools is across the history of the Overwatch League,
Yeah.
we have made countless decisions that have gone against competitive integrity of the game, such as putting in 2-2-2 for the last stage and for playoffs, like even balance changes coming into playoffs, like radical balance changes, making huge adjustments. And I've been okay with it, but I feel like hero pools, we've crossed the line. So to have it removed in playoffs, I like it because it goes back to a return of like there will be one comp for playoffs. And playoffs,
But then you're okay with removing
Stop
competitive
interrupting me, you
integrity for
little shit.
28
Shut up.
games, but you're okay. But you're not for.
But also, I think Bren's point is
let
that
Bren
hero
finish.
pools,
Let Bren
he
finish.
didn't want it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want hero pools in the
anyway.
first place, but for playoffs, you've got one consistent meta the entire time. You can see the best teams at that meta, and playoffs never need anything to spice it up anyway.
Yeah,
you didn't
that's
need
true.
it to make it exciting.
I just hate a system that exists. It'd be like the NBA had a 3-point shot for the whole season, and then for the playoffs, like, well, for competitive integrity, we're going to make everything worth 2.
But
like,
that's not
This is so
same-
hypocritical
that's not the
because
same argument.
tell me you're not like enjoying this more than just seeing the same meta for months upon end like GOATs. Tell me
Yeah.
you're not enjoying
and that's what I want to see in the playoffs.
I'm actually not though.
Yeah,
like
I'm
that
not.
fundamental premise, I'm not. When I go into the Paris Philadelphia game and I'm expecting it to be a great battle between 2 amazing teams,
But it's
and then
chaos.
actually it's just a coin flip and like suddenly Paris is just dominating because
Yeah.
But
Philly
that's where the
can't
time
play.
needs to be adjusted. I don't think hero pools as an idea is flawed. I think the time
But
you
that
allow teams to
time would have
practice.
still they would have had exactly the same
And
amount
the
of time,
time
4
you-
days to
the
sprint.
time-
Well, okay, so then I think
But
that
it only fixes the
teams,
second week.
The team should be let known of the hero pools removed, or like the heroes removed, like prior, like 1 or 2 weeks prior
Then-
to playing.
I just
Because
don't think
then
you can do
You give
that,
them more
though.
time to practice.
Yeah, but
Like-
aren't they then playing on a different patch? Like their
Well-
live games would be on a different
No,
patch.
no, no. You
right?
can remove them like in a custom lobby, so that would allow teams to practice.
Yeah,
like,
but
in a
what if,
custom
for
lobby.
argument's sake, though, like Bren's team had 4 games in those 2 weeks, and my team had like 1,
Well,
and like,
the-
and then
the
and
argument
then
I'm
you're just
making
like,
is-
Well, shit, we haven't
like, and
seen
then
any
there's
Pacific
not.
teams.
It's just kind of crazy.
We've barely seen Pacific teams. Like shit, like are they gonna come back and be like, oh, we didn't see the meta where Winston Soldier Tracer was banned? Like
The point-
shit out of luck. Sorry,
The
dude.
point I was making is even if you tell the teams a week in advance, if they have games on back-to-back weeks,
They
they
can't
still
do
only
anything
have 4
anyway.
days of
Yeah.
practice on that one patch because
Right.
they want to be practicing the heroes that are still in, right?
I still think it's a time issue, and it's not like
And I think 2 weeks is
an issue of the design.
2 weeks is too long for the live
Okay.
game too.
I'll tell you what my biggest issue is with it is it's actually killing almost all storylines about the dominant teams of a period of time.
Yeah.
Because now we've got that last patch, right? Houston Outlaws looked really good because it plays to all of their strengths.
Yeah.
They don't play for 4 more weeks.
Yeah,
That's a really good point.
Now,
That's an
now
incredible
so now
point.
the next Houston game that's going to come out, we're going to be coming out of our storylines when they're walking out and we're going to be saying, they had a really good showing in their last match, but
I
probably
do
not going
think
to have one
though,
this time.
like it is 1 week. Like I think we need to see more teams play with it. Like at least my hope is that like the bad teams become even worse in hero pools and the good teams become even better. But then I think what you saw from Paris Philly, where you're a little bit alarmed, is like, well, the good teams just kind of play each other in some kind of coin flip type of scenario.
That's the bad part to me.
like the
just,
bad teams will get really bad and you'll see blowouts.
Who,
but-
if you can't tell how good a team is, then you don't know whether to be excited about a match. You don't know what to expect when you're watching. And you need your expectations set in some way.
Right.
Otherwise, you might as well just be watching any players in the world play.
Yeah.
And there's not many heroes with like a carry potential that like, okay, if Widowmaker's in like for a week.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
something like
Tracer
that,
was fun to watch.
Tracer was fun to watch, but
the
there's, like,
overall match, the matches I found to be really boring this week, and it wasn't like if this had been the meta for a couple of weeks, for like maybe a month, then I'd be anticipating matches that were good. I'd be anticipating matchups. There's no anticipation. There's no tension. It's just.
let's see what happens.
Let's see what
happens.
Is super boring. I mean, are you surprised by that? Because I was watching on the couch over there. I was doing the companion stream. Twitch.tv/Bren, by the way.
The first day, Philly Paris was good.
I think
that was second day. That was second day, first match.
Oh, yeah, second day.
But I was watching, for example, the New York Washington game, which some of you guys liked, and I was watching this, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like we've seen a better Washington, and we've seen a better New York, and it just felt like they were discovering how to play the comp slowly over the course of the time, because both teams were making mistakes that I would just not even consider. When I think of New York, I think of a very clean team, and what we saw was not a clean team.
I think the most disappointing thing is that you can discard every week as just being like, oh, we weren't good at this.
Every team could just have a built-in excuse, right?
Or a good team just being like, oh, they were just good because of this comp, like Houston Outlaws. Like we can't actually credit them.
You can't make assessments or an analysis about any team, and I know I'm saying that as an analyst, but even a fan can't be like, my team is good right now, my team is bad right now.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know how to feel as a fan, because
your team could be bad.
Fuck it, your team could be awful this week and great the next week and awful the next week and great for 2 weeks.
You just hope you have more good weeks than horrible weeks, and then just kind of like...
The baseline thing that has always bothered me a little bit about hero pools is just that I can't get over the belief that the developer team could have achieved the same thing by more aggressive balancing. Like the good part about hero pools is that you get to see different things every week.
Yeah.
And I think that their design philosophy or balance philosophy at the moment of attacking the meta anyway would have achieved that in a measurable period of time.
Well, I think you would have needed a
something.
combination of attacking the meta fast and then those patches getting into the Overwatch League fast.
Yeah.
Like not being like a 2-week wait or whatnot. Like let the players like. I mean, I guess you need a week to like test out the new balance changes with like the meta and whatnot. But if the players are going home and playing on live anyway, and it's not live, like you may as well just go for it.
No one gets bored of a meta in a month. Like there's nobody that watches a meta for a month and
hold on, Custa just made a face.
I mean, tell me a meta that you got bored of within 1 month. I mean, every
one that
meta
he was
is
on the double
interesting for a
shield.
little while.
Double shield.
Double shield in the playoffs wasn't boring. It was exciting as hell to see Sinatra punching people.
I think it might have been
subjectively it was boring.
No,
because of the playoff aspect.
Yeah, because
Maybe.
it was for something. Yeah,
maybe.
Let me ask you something. Do you think that a more structured regular season format could help some of these issues we're presenting here?
Like what do you mean?
Like we got rid of stages this year, and if we adopted hero pools to a more structured stage format or something similar, where we split the season into like different parts, would that help us build up storylines?
Right.
for
I think
teams?
like if you had
where they can be like, this team was really good in stage 1, and that was one hero pool, and then stage 2, this other team was really good in that hero pool, and then we're fixing the time issue because now we have one hero pool for a longer amount of time. And you're able to build the storylines by separating by stage rather than not being able to
like if every,
structure and separate parts of the regular season properly.
If every division played like a 3-week tournament that had some kind of winner that had implications going towards playoffs, and they kept the same hero pools for the 4 weeks, and it felt a little bit structured, I think that would be fine. I think the issue is like you have so many regular season games, then so many. We're gonna see so many different variations of hero pools over those weeks. It's like who knows?
It's logistically very difficult to be able. to do
it's very
that as
difficult.
well.
Sure, but for example, let's say we look at CDL, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think CDL has a tournament every homestand.
It does,
yes. Every weekend is 2 groups of 4.
I don't think that would work for us because we have so many homestands. Like we have so many weekends, and like it wouldn't work. But if we instead had some way to award teams like points or like trophies somehow, like every 3 weekends, you would then have a standing that would say, oh, Atlanta Reign, they've won 7 out of 18.
Well, you would just have to have teams play more in their division, right?
And then you could actually have like a standing that like featured a lot of different parts. Like it's so hard to explain because I'm just making this shit up as I go.
I can see it though.
But
I get.
Then you have a proper
saying.
standing. That's not like, oh, they got 15 wins and 13 losses. It's like, no, you've actually.
Well, also one of the things that
better way.
One of the things before one of the games that we casted, it was Florida Toronto, we did like a stats graphic of like team fight win percentage, and I was like, this is so useless now because we're never going to see them play those. Like, how do you quantify stats? Like, is it now that like, oh, when Winston is the main tank of the week, is this the team's? But then also the other heroes around it change, right? So it plays way differently. Yeah. It's like, how do you quantify like team fight data and even like individual like hero stats for certain players? Like, how do you quantify that? Like,
to distill it down, the system I think could still be salvaged. You just need to remove variability.
Hold on. The system accomplished, you wanted to see different things. That was like the basic of the system. It accomplished that, but then it's caused three other questions.
It's at the integrity of the competitive balance, like the competitiveness of the league.
Right. So now you
remove a bit more of the variability, and you make it so that, maybe it is longer. That's going to remove it, and you make a couple of adjustments. It could still work.
One last thing, because Josh mentioned he think instead of hero pools, we could just have more faster balancing. One small thing that I think hero pools help with is that if you just had more faster balancing or whatever, you would sometimes deal with like ridiculous adjustments. No, just like, what if they just put McCree with 250 health, for one patch or whatever?
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit ridiculous and kind of like pushed. Like, there's a word for that. Like, it's forced, right? It's literally half of my nickname. But with hero pools, you sort of know what you're getting with the heroes, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I mean, I don't really get that, though,
expectations are like
hero pools itself is the most forced that you could make it, because you're like forcing people to play certain compositions.
Yeah, but it'd be like if you're building with Legos and you're only allowed certain pieces versus like, oh, we're just introducing a new Lego piece, and you're like, what the fuck does this do? Because you're changing up the piece itself. You're not changing the pieces you work with.
I can see that.
Oh my god, what an analogy! I think I'm done.
Great analogy.
I think I'm.
What do you? Well, hold on. To get back on like topic a little bit. What do you think? Like, maybe not even for this week in general, but with hero pools early on, after seeing it for a week, which teams do you think overall are going to net and be like winners of the system, and which teams do you think are going to be like losers and struggle with the system?
I was gonna say New York, but then they didn't play the May very well, and I was like, ooh, are there actually holes in their armor?
I think every team is going to have holes, right?
Yeah.
Every team is going to struggle from this, but the teams with the best coaching staff system that's set up to recognize, I mean, the grafters, the hardest workers are going to be able to spot. Basically, if you look over the course of the entire season, people are going to be saying to me, well, that's not true, because look at Paris. I rate Paris' coaching staff really high. They lost to Houston. But I think over the course of an entire season, if you look at their results week by week, they'll be performing more consistently than some of the other teams, right? With weaker coaching. But,
consistency is going to win you placement in this season. Like, you don't have to be good all the time. You just have to stay ahead of the pack.
Right.
You have to look at it as like, okay, the season's 20 weeks. We need to have 15 good weeks.
Yeah.
Like, we need to have 14 good weeks, right? 2-0 weeks. As long as you go even in the week, you're good.
And it seems like New York and Philly should be locks to be able to do that. But Philadelphia, I think, have already shown that they are a little bit shaky in that aspect, which is such a weird thing to say. Like, they shouldn't be. There's nothing on paper.
It's like you fall in love with one comp.
Yeah.
You're just kind of...
I think a sleeper pick is Vancouver Titans.
Yeah.
I think they'll adjust well to pretty much all hero pools.
Yeah. Shock as well, you're going to expect to be good. But you're still expecting those teams to lose. Like, there's no possibility of dominance. I mean, if someone is able to be dominant in this league with everything changing all over the place, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
itself is bananas.
It's also like, well, what roles are like the most important now, right? Like, I feel like over the first 2 seasons, we've talked about like how important like a good main tank is, and then like having like a strong support core. It's like you don't even know like really
my
anymore.
opinion changed last year with this, and I think there's less on the players themselves and more so
the
on
teamwork.
Yeah, no, just the system that's in place from top to bottom.
Yeah,
like the teams that we've seen who have had consistent success have been the ones with a good support structure in place. Like, you look at Gladiators.
I mean, that's not the case with the Titans, though.
Titans?
Yeah.
The Titans are like, I think, an outlier because they just came in. They've got very strong players. They've come in with a lot of experience from contenders. And they just bopped, right? Yeah, it's the pre-existing synergy. I think they are an outlier. But across the board, I think coaching staff is the thing that I look at now for a team's success over the long course of
I like systems more. So like systems
league.
sort of are like coaching staffs and whatever, but just like how teams approach things. So
Sure.
like,
I
Vancouver,
mean, that comes into it, right?
Vancouver doesn't have like the greatest coaching staff, but they have a great system where like the
Yeah.
players have input
Yeah.
and like they shape their play.
That
so
might hurt them. With,
Might hurt them.
with Fisher in the team.
It totally could.
might hurt them.
Yeah.
But hey, like the thing with the whole Fisher story that we built up in the beginning of the year is that it will pale in significance compared to the random ebbs and flows of every single week.
Yeah.
Like you won't even be able to tell if this team is imploding or whether it's the meta or what.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
And even
what
if they are
the
imploding,
cause
they're
is
going
anymore.
to blame it on
I
something
mean, if
else.
he
Yeah.
benches himself, that might be a sign.
Yeah, if they end up playing. If they end up
Fucking
drafting Hureg from the Houston coaching staff again to play main tank for them.
I played him twice in ranked yesterday. Went 1-on-1.
Ryujay
Sign
Hong.
him.
Ryujay Hong, dude.
Ryujay Kong returning.
Ah.
Ryujay Kong.
Dude, remember season 1, dude? We had the Taimu main tank for a bit. Like it was,
Roshan.
Let's do our predictions this week coming up. You guys are going to Miami. That'll be fun. What are you excited about or know about the city of Miami?
Well, I know that it's the where Pitbull came from.
Yep, Pitbull. Yep,
I actually don't know if that's true or not.
yeah.
Did he
Mr.
come from
Worldwide.
Miami?
Yeah, I believe so.
Mr. Worldwide. I know it's the city that never sleeps.
Yeah,
That's
I've
New
heard.
York.
I've heard the restaurants are open there until like 4 a.m. So you can just walk into
everything's
a restaurant
open,
and get food
like-
like
I
4
hear
a.m.
that you can walk up to any yacht and there's a law in place where you can buy it for your firstborn child or the law of surprise.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
The law of surprise.
I've been there a few times.
Actually,
Never heard
IRL.
Never heard
Yeah.
about that one.
Yeah.
The first match of the
Joking,
weekend
right?
may be the best match of the weekend.
Yeah, it should be.
If you have a busy weekend coming up, are you guys casting that one?
Well,
Yeah,
casting,
yeah.
If you guys
match
have a busy
1, match
weekend
3,
coming
and
up,
then-
you guys may just have to watch the first match of the whole weekend and then go do your thing.
Sorry, can I,
mean, you
can I
may
ask
be
to
good.
see the matches again just so I get it in my mind? I was making jokes.
Yeah.
New York,
Boston,
Atlanta, I
Florida.
think could be
Wow.
pretty good.
Day 1 is sick.
Yeah, I think day 1's pretty good.
Day 2
I'd expect it actually to be. Well.
Day
you
2
never know.
has some
Day-
2 has some classicos on there.
Day 2 blows.
Florida, Boston is going
We
to
have the
be
best
a
match on day
good
2.
old-fashioned slobber
I think
knocker.
Boston, Florida is called the Bowel Bowl.
The
Bowl. Florida, I don't think are that bad though.
I think Florida will get a bit of a boost
Yeah, I
this
think
week.
Florida-
I honestly
will be
miss
fine.
bad Florida. I miss poop Florida.
I mean,
was so
we
fun
didn't-
to meme
We
on.
didn't discuss with the hero pools, but the bands in place.
Oh yeah,
Big buff to Chris.
yeah. Do we want to go over the
buff to
Do you want to go
Chris.
over the band?
Well,
Lucille
let's do our predictions first.
Alright,
Let's do
predictions.
predictions
Okay.
first. So for New York, Atlanta.
Band to Chris.
Who went
Oh,
with
you
what?
guys went with Atlanta?
Yeah.
What?
Why did you go with Atlanta?
Where are you seeing this?
I'm seeing this down at the bottom.
Oh, that's how it works.
Our beautiful graphic there that has the predictions.
I thought it would unveil like on Watchpoint, you know, like
No.
every person.
Let me tell you, I wasn't particularly impressed with New York.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think, and I think they excel when they're playing these comfort roles, but I haven't been particularly impressed with them even when they were playing the Ryan Diva comps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was watching them play against
Yeah.
London and other teams, and it was a bit of a struggle.
They lost to Paris, right?
right? They lost to
Yeah.
Paris.
No, sorry, Philadelphia. They lost to Philadelphia.
I think people are still overrating New York a little bit when it comes
But
to
that's-
where
Well,
they
New
place
York-
them in their minds.
You can't argue with the individual skill of New York Excelsior.
No.
I
Did
just
we
don't
s-
think they have played well. Well, they've played decent as a team, but I don't think they've been up to their normal levels.
New
this
York's
season as
also
team.
a team that never blows people out. They always win like 3-1,
Well,
or like a close 3-0. Like they never
No. We used to know them as like the dominant fucking juggernaut. They were
yeah,
just,
but
like,
they
actually
won
just-
series, but they would drop maps all the time.
No, I don't think so.
Atlanta
Okay,
is
I'm
another
gonna-
team I also think people are overrating.
Yes.
But I'd expect them
Yeah.
to be able to.
I think they're going to come out as Chads. Just
Okay.
I'm expecting Atlanta to improve more over the course of the
These
time,
guys are-
where
these guys
less
are-
than I would expect New York.
All
to.
right, we are going to be watching probably May McCree, Reinhardt Diva.
Yep.
Right, we're going to be going back to that
Yeah.
meta. Atlanta looked poo in that meta when they played against Paris. That game against Paris, their tank line got railroaded.
well, I think that was mostly Paris playing well.
Okay,
I
well,
think
New
Paris
York
just played
lost.
so aggressive.
I'll take
I don't
Mono
think that
and
New York,
Hotba.
There's no way New York plays as aggressive as Paris did in that series.
No, I don't
think-
think so. I think that's also true.
I don't
But-
think New York are as good as Paris, just in general. Right now.
No. Well, when it comes to the previous meta that
Yeah,
was in
Just
with
the
May
message
McCree.
that we're
I
expecting.
agree. I think that these are both like a tier below your Paris and your Philadelphias of the world when it comes to like the previous
The
meta.
May McCree stuff. Yeah.
But Atlanta's tanks just couldn't do it. they just couldn't hold up.
I also
Give me my boy Mono,
want to
dog.
sort of believe that Hawk had like some nerves in that
He
series.
looked a lot better
because
last
he
week.
looked a lot better this past week.
Yeah, he did.
And, you know, can you play like that against
I mean, they played against the
liberal
corpse of the
who
Boston
you may,
Uprising.
then-
I mean,
I think another point for Atlanta actually is that with Lucio banned, you can't play as aggressive into them, and instead it will favor
shit,
their
I
like
forgot
bunker
about
kind of style.
I think that hurts Animo a lot, actually.
Bro, yeah, I think it does as well, actually. And I mean, indirectly as well, we've just buffed the Baby Bay Tourbillon. So,
yeah.
I mean, they love to play like little cheesy shit, and like one of the best counters to cheesy shit is playing at a faster tempo.
yeah.
Hey,
New York, you
while
can do
we
that.
might not actually see Reinhardt
Let's,
without Lucio.
let's
like,
take a
that
look at
might
the
just be
second-
so slow.
The second
so.
match of the weekend, which will be.
Oh, well.
Yeah, well.
Go next.
well,
next.
yeah, I mean,
This one I was a little bit more torn
Oh,
with.
No, shut the
F
fuck
off.
up.
Why?
F off.
Because Philly, you put Philly in the same tier as Paris.
When it comes to the old meta, yes, Philly were unbeaten 5-0.
Yeah,
were slapping people
spin this
around.
for London for
Who
me,
was
please.
a good team that they played against?
They played New York. They beat New York.
And I don't really rate New York that much. I actually
Do you
think
rate New York lower than London? London
we already
got
seen New
bullied
York
by New
beat-
York.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of time before London start really shaping up as a team. You got Glister, will be performing pretty well. Yes, he's up against Carpe, but Overwatch is in a 1v1
That's about equal,
game, right?
honestly.
It's about equal.
Yeah.
But I think London will actually steadily improve over the course of the season. Philadelphia, I don't know. I still predicted them, right? I still expect them to be the
Right.
favorites. But
Yeah.
I think this could be a close game. I would give it to be probably 60-40.
Hey,
All right, well,
anything
there
could be
you
a
go.
close game in Hero Pulse.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the upsets will happen all the time.
Bren
but
doing a little fan
we
service for the people of
may-
London. Poor Florida. They're gonna get
even
they're gonna
with
get-
Chris on Brig, like this is their
they're
meta,
gonna get,
dude.
They're gonna get fucking poop.
Oh,
at home.
actually deserves to be mentioned. FD Godbrig.
FD God's Brig did not look good. And FD God will be getting hard nerfed by the fact that Lucio isn't in. So
Cruise
I do actually see this match being a little bit closer. I think this match is going to be closer than the
I think it'll be closer
previous
than London.
one.
Yeah, it'll be closer
the New
than
York,
London, Philly.
yeah, London Philly.
This
I
will be
mean-
closer than that.
I've already given my arguments as to why I think Paris are a really good team.
Sure,
Throughout this
yeah.
entire podcast, I expect the reasons to carry over. X is back on McCree.
Day
I think
number
it might just be
It actually
roll.
really hurts Paris' aggression as well with Lucio Ban.
Yeah, I
because
think
they
it
were the
does.
most aggressive team. And
Yeah,
now they're just
Hanbin
like-
and FD God were so aggressive. FD God can no longer play Lucio. Mayhem have been playing the Anna Brig the entire time. They know how it works. I think this could be a close game. I'm not predicting the upset, but I think it could be
I
close.
might do it on air.
Anytime. Yeah, I mean, you'll say anything on air.
Yeah,
You'll do anything.
It's better to say
yeah.
something than nothing on air, man.
Well, some people can't say anything because everybody else is talking over them. Anyway, we can go to the next day's worth of matches. It's, Washington Justice. I don't feel great about either of these teams. I just had to pick one,
feel-
and I felt better about the
I feel
Justice.
way better about Justice though. Toronto were really relying as well on a lot of Winston comps when they played against
Yeah.
teams, and Winston's now banned, and they didn't look that great when they had to play the Ryan Diva. This I'm expecting to be actually a bit of a roll.
Can I make a request to Bud Pachimari to just make like a montage of main support players playing Brig this weekend? I just want to see Brig just.
Bren, tell us why London could be in this one.
Same reasons they could be in it in the Philly match. I think.
Because who the fuck knows?
I think that I think it's a team that's steadily going to improve over the course of the season. They got a lot of green players with experience. They're only going to get better. They have a lot of raw talent on this team.
Shui
we'll
can
see.
stop.
I'll tell you what,
fucking
though,
throwing
London
ultimates
are
into
also
nowhere.
being nerfed with the Lucio ban because Sanguinar was
Sanguinar, dude.
Sanguinar has been he's been getting the environmental kills.
Josh forgot what team
He's been getting
Sanguinar
those
played for.
boops.
He was like, wait, hold on. It just woke him up inside. He's like, wait, what? There's a guy called Sanguinar.
Bro,
I was like,
Sanguinar,
dude, of all the things that you could talk about,
You're trying to. It's a huge Sanguinar nerf this week. Oh my lord,
bro.
All right. Let's see who gets to. I was gonna say let's see who gets to beat Florida, but then I forgot they were playing against Boston.
yeah.
Bro, Boston. I mean, I feel so bad. Like those guys.
All right,
Boston have had their
They're
one
trying.
win of the season.
They're trying.
I went on a fucking tirade when I was on that casting couch over there.
Yeah.
Not against the players, because I think
casting
that they've got some
couch.
talented players. Not against the staff, because I've spoken to some of the staff, and they are quite intelligent.
Yeah.
But against the fucking way this team is just being built, where they're just buying these high-risk, high-reward players, budget players, with the intention of just trading them off or selling them, and
Nah,
just... They have no fucking... It feels like this team has no intention to win.
Well, you when you watch like a team play and like I look, I've been a fan
I'm
of New
just
York.
I'm done with Boston.
I've been
bro.
a fan of New York sports for a
I'm
while,
fucking done with them.
we suck a lot of the times.
I'm done with Boston.
As
man.
long as you're close, like you can still be a fan, right?
Shut the
Like as long
fuck
as you're
up,
putting
dude.
up a fight, they're not even putting up
yeah.
a fight.
If
It's like
I was a Boston
they're
fan, if I was a Boston fan, I'd be calling for fucking for the rich to be eaten. The top of this chain needs to be dragged down.
I tell you,
Seriously.
I casted
hell.
the Boston game the first day when we were in Washington, and we're by the caster thing, and I'm just like looking at the crowd, and there's this one guy in a Boston jersey, and he was just. It was like maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, East Coast. He was like he was done. He was wasted. He's like, Jerry's gonna pop off. Jerry's gonna pop. And then like after halftime, he just kind of like looked at me. He's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I was like, you are the Boston Uprising.
Yeah.
I was like, you're consistently drinking throughout your match to the point that you just get so pissed. You're just like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
Just don't play Sigma this weekend. Okay?
Yeah,
Just
God.
don't play Sigma.
why the hell did they play
Fuck
Sigma?
knows, man.
Can you come up with any meta though that Boston Uprising isn't the worst team in the league at?
If,
I think they need,
Colorhex can play only Farah in their
Farah.
matches.
But then Jerry most likely can't play
Jerry
hit
can-
scan because
yeah.
you'd have like a hit scan.
Farah
gun,
Widow
so
or
They
on.
would
something?
low-key be good in double shield. Like Fusion, Sorisa,
moving on
Sigma,
Sigma. But
Jerry
they don't have a
McCree,
Doom.
Colorex.
so-
Yeah.
What would
who's that?
Colorhex
Colorex
be
Doom,
doing?
frick it. I'm
Colorex
shipping
May
ship
isn't
it.
very good.
Like, I
Yeah.
think they're really hurt by just not having like the depth in terms of
They
like
have 2 DPS players.
I know it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, this is
one main tank.
Listen, if Boston fans, I'm telling you, bro, rise they them down because they don't have the backups for the team. Like every other team has DPS backups. You need flexibility
or
now.
I'd say, hey,
like pick
Boston-
up some players for fucking gods. If I have to cast a Boston game again, I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, you're
Quitting.
you're 3 hours from New York. You're a few hours from Toronto. Just be a fan of them.
Boston's
Get on the
Boston's
train.
kind
Get
of
on the
team-
train.
Boston's
Nah.
the kind of team that's just jogging along at the back of the marathon in like a funny costume, and they're just waiting for people to
everybody
pass
else-
out.
No. It's like when the school brings up the class to like a freaking track or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, go at your own tempo." Boston is like walking in the back. They're like, "Oh no, we're not gonna run. We're not gonna jog. We're gonna
The
walk."
only people they'll overtake are the people that pass out from heat exhaustion, and they just rob them on the
And
way.
I
And
don't
they
mean
just
to-
carry
yeah,
on.
I don't mean to say this to imply that the players aren't trying or the coaching staff aren't trying, but it feels like the org has not been trying
Well,
for the past 2 years.
It's
Yeah.
tough because everybody else has been pretty competitive this year.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
they've taken
just a
maps,
real
they've taken
disappointment.
games, right? It's just been a tough start for them. Hopefully, well, and I would say like hopefully you're able to turn around. But with the way the season is, there's not really like an opportunity to have a break or like being able to like regroup. It's really hard this year to kind of
It is
bring it back together. But hopefully we see some better stuff from Boston. Bren is very upset. I believe he actually refused to commentate on their games. I won't do that.
They are
That's
just
okay.
begging for some meta that nerfs Boston in week 10 when they have that rematch. Otherwise, where does their next win come from? Like a meta that Mayhem are terrible at? Meta that Justice are
Can't
terrible
wait to
at?
see the Brencast Exerto article.
Look, we still haven't seen a bunch of teams play, so who knows? We can go into power rankings now coming out.
Okay, here
Does
we
anything
go.
significantly change?
Yes.
Did Philly go down and then does
So this is-
Paris
but
go?
this is-
Paris can't go up. 'cause
This
you're not
is
putting
the
them
week
above.
6 rankings, right?
Yeah.
So this
Yes.
is for next week where we would place the teams based on the patch. Outlaws, I don't think, changed, despite the
Oh.
fact that they look good.
Oh,
Because how tragic is this?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, does
does
it?
nothing
Like,
change?
Outlaws should go up. Like Outlaws should be a middle of the pack, maybe trying to get
If this
into
was
the
a
top
week
half
5
team.
rankings, if this was, we're looking at this through the 2020 hindsight goggles,
Yeah.
Outlaws should be a middle of the pack team, but they don't change because the meta's probably going to be returned to what they were shit at.
I don't want to do these.
Like, how tragic is this though?
Yeah, that's
Would you say?
unfortunate.
Would
But
you
also,
say Philly goes down below Shock like after?
Yes, I
Yeah.
would say so.
And then would you move?
It's hard though.
up?
We haven't
The
seen
shock
Shock
that
in a
hasn't
while.
played since
Would
like
you
week
move-
1.
Yeah, I know. Like, but then what do you do with Paris and what do you do with like Atlanta?
Do you guys want
Like-
to take out the week 1 teams out of our power rankings?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
let's
we
do
should.
that.
Let's do it.
This is dumb.
Let's
Because it's
put
been so
down.
long.
Yeah, let's put the Shock, the Titans,
Dallas.
Gladiators,
Dallas.
Dallas.
All the way down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
drag it down.
above those other teams though, because we haven't
Yeah.
even seen them at all.
Yeah, they're better
so.
than those teams because we've actually seen them, but
Dallas.
But we not.
Yeah, Dallas as well. Who else was it? Valiant.
Valiant.
Valiant and
Gladiators.
Gladiators.
Valiant Gladiators.
Valiant played
Gladiators. Yep.
Valiant play week 3?
Oh my god.
All right,
This
so
is
there
such
we
a
go.
sad list.
So there we go. That's our list for now.
Okay,
Uh, Philly, I still believe is the number one team out of this list. Probably.
Wait, let's. Oh no. Well, yeah. Let's order it anyway. Let's put the Gladiators above Dallas and Valiant above Dallas as well.
Okay.
So at least we've got
some
This is what we've
semblance
come
of structure.
to.
But then if you're going to do that, then do it for the Pacific East teams as well.
Put Shanghai number one.
we haven't seen them at all.
Okay, right. Well, ignore that then.
Yeah, go on then. Let's put Shanghai number one.
Shanghai number one. Seoul number two.
No, Seoul number 1.
No, get out of here, John. Get out of here.
We haven't seen them.
Guangzhou.
Well, I've
so
even put
dumb.
Hangzhou above.
This is so dumb.
Hangzhou above
Hangzhou,
Guangzhou.
Chengdu.
This is so
Yes,
low
I would
quality
agree with
content.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Pacific East,
Yep.
I
All
would
right, so
agree.
there you go.
Grasping at straws.
Okay.
Look at that.
Fucking-
We've done. We're so smart. We've done power rankings for teams we know nothing about.
Let's get to the meat of this. Let's get to the meat
You
of
can see
this.
it. Really see we're
I
bringing
would
a heavy
put
analysis
Paris
here.
at number 1 right now.
Okay, wait there. I think
Whoa.
a fairer way of
Hold
doing
up.
this moving forwards
Yeah.
is to do the power rankings generally for hero pools. Instead of specifying that it's
For the
for
week,
a particular
you
meta.
can't do it for the week.
Yeah, because like doing it for a week,
It's not power rankings.
Well, I mean, it is.
It's
technically, but-
predictions. It's predictions
Yeah,
on a
that's-
big fucking board.
Yeah. So I think
Who do I think the strongest team will be next week with the meta? we're
No,
gonna
not
see?
not next week.
Who's
just
been the strongest
generally.
up until this point?
Just
Yes.
generally in hero pools, who do you think are the strongest teams?
I would put my top 4 out of those teams, and I think it's quite easy. It's Philly, Paris, New York, Atlanta. I'd probably put Philly number 1, New York number 2. I have the hardest time with Atlanta and Paris. I probably leave them in that order. for
I
now.
like Atlanta more than Paris.
You're kidding me.
What?
And-
Are you kidding me?
No, long term, I think that makes
Long
sense.
term, I put Paris at 1.
Oh,
Okay,
all
what
right.
in the fuck are you smoking?
Okay,
Are you
hold on,
joking?
hold
These
on.
guys got
Somebody,
crushed 3-0 by the Outlaws.
Yeah. And
Somebody
they came out in the
remember
next
this
game.
episode where Bren had Paris as his number 1 team going
for
into the
hero
future of the
pools,
league.
Right?
The future
They're going to
of
get the
league.
new additions later on. They're going to get Sparkling and adds a bit more flexibility to their DPS with their week right
That's
now, okay?
late May.
Yes, it's later on, right? But still, we literally
months.
said consistency is the name of the game with hero pools. And I cannot think of a more consistent team for hero pools.
You can't think of a more consistent
over the
team
course.
than a team that went 1-1.
I am
Over the course of a
done.
season.
I am
Over the
done.
course of a season.
Dude, Bren is the Boston Uprising of takes, dude. What is this?
Because the Houston Outlaws lucked into metas where they could play their strongest roles.
No, it's not just that they look. So
They
it's
lost
not,
the Houston Outlaws, right?
It's not just that they looked into it. They weren't playing their strongest roles. Blase was on the
my
fucking Soldier
brain.
76, right? So this argument that Houston only just looked into what everyone was best at, they looked into a style that they were good at, sure, but they identified the meta really early on. They put Blase on Soldier 76 where he's not good, and they still outperformed Paris. Paris didn't pick the right meta.
Let me
failed
just
to
let me get
perform.
a clarification here. So you believe that the Paris Eternal would be representing the Atlantic in the finals?
We haven't seen a lot of the other teams play since week 1 in Atlantic. Have we not?
No, we've
No, the
seen all
Atlantic,
of the
we've seen
Atlantic
everybody.
teams.
You think at the end of the season, the
Paris
best Atlantic
Eternal-
team is the Paris Eternal?
Yes.
The worst part about this segment
Yes.
is that Bren is going to be right.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, I do.
That's-
Yes. Okay.
it's always funny.
I've tried
Philadelphia
to
music.
put up my
Play
justification
it.
for this, but we're talking about hero pools over the course of the entirety of the season.
I respect it.
I think
respect it.
Paris will be the most consistent team because they played. I would say the Houston Outlaws were probably the strongest team that weekend. I think they were the strongest team that weekend, but don't put them at number 1. Listen, because this is for next week, and I expect Houston Outlaws to be very poor consistently over the course of the whole season.
Yes.
But Paris, I think, when they play, if they have a bad start in week 1 and they have a game next week, I expect them to make the necessary adjustments to get a win the next day.
I just cannot see them being better than Philly, New York, or Atlanta long term.
I think it's very close between Philly and Paris. But I think people are overrating New York. I think people are slightly overrating Atlanta. I would put New York at 4 and Atlanta at 3, and I would keep it at here.
I mean, I don't
For the top
mind.
4.
I don't mind the Atlanta New York discussion. I think that's kind of up in the air.
Well, it's
the big contention is Paris.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, this
Because-
is my opinion. You guys say your piece of
Philly,
the top 4.
Philly lost by 1 map. It wasn't like they got blown out.
They almost got blown out.
They almost got
Okay,
blown out, but they
let's
came
make
back.
this. Let's make this easy for ourselves. Let's compare Philadelphia and Paris member by member.
Here's the
Ben
thing, though.
Best, Sado,
Like
Fury Poco versus Hanbin, Exi versus Carpe,
But I think the argument is that Paris is going to outperform their pieces, right?
Yes.
Alarm Hip. Funny Astro.
FD God.
FD
I
God.
mean, credit where credit's due, though. The Paris Eternal players, the one that were on that team last year, have made drastic improvements.
They have.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
So,
But on specific roles, like Ben Best, Reinhardt is still, by the look of it, still the only hero that he's great at.
I'm not
Winston
upset
didn't
if
look
you
good.
move Philly to number 1, but for my personal rankings,
I have no problem
with.
with Paris at number 2, number 3, number 4. I have an issue with them at number 1.
Here's my hot take.
Okay, let's see how hot it is.
Atlanta and New York, even though they don't look as good, I think will be more consistent than both Fusion and Paris over the course
I can
of the
see
year.
when
Fusion are quite a streaky team, and they play down to their opponents.
5-0.
But
Well,
in the course of their Overwatch League history with a lot
Yeah.
of these players, they've been very
My
streaky.
goodness.
And
what?
this week when they came up against Paris, they were certainly
How was my number
off
team
to a
ended up
very
as
bad
4?
start. I could. Here's the thing. I don't think that the Paris Eternal is going to be able to be great in every meta. I think they're very much an our meta kind of team in terms of what we saw from them at the beginning of the year. And they managed to make an adjustment this week, but I don't know if they could do that every single week.
I would want to see.
I do not enjoy seeing Atlanta 1 or 2 because in my mind they looked kind of streaky so far this season.
I would
without a
put-
doubt they have
You
great
thought they were
talent.
streaky?
Yeah.
But there's still question marks. Like, okay, Hawk, you had one good game. Pokebone main tank compared to
I would
other
go-
main
Well,
tanks.
Pokemon's been all right.
I would put.
Few question marks.
Oh,
All
this
I'm
is gonna
saying.
sound weird.
Is there a team?
I
the
would
top
say
3,
the
not
team
1
that
or
I
2.
feel about the best out of those 4 long term is New York.
No.
Because I've seen them be
Completely
consistent
disagree.
over multiple metas,
I have
over
not.
multiple years. They've
I have
always been
absolutely
good.
They have.
not.
They've always been
They've
good.
always been good.
They've always been good. I mean, that is not a statement that you can disagree with.
Yes.
They've always been
They've
good.
always been good. But
Right.
when patch changes came out last year, they were always one of the last good teams to adapt. Like when we considered the best of the best last year was the Titans and Shock, and New York were always trying to clamber up into that top 3, and
Yeah.
they never really deserved to be a great team.
They
Right,
were
but
never.
they're the
but-
best of the teams that, like Titans and Shock, we're not ranking right now.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
New York are the
Like
best
I'm
of the
ranking
teams
the
you
teams
compare
I
them
can
to.
rank.
Just
yeah.
put Philadelphia number 1.
People are going to have issues with me disliking New York, but I don't think they've looked.
And
great
I
over
would
the
put
season.
Paris above Atlanta for now because I just want to see more from Atlanta. Like Atlanta's just trying to. They have so many new pieces from last year and whatnot.
Yeah.
I want to see them
I like it with
over
this.
multiple
I mean,
weeks.
This is a great top 4.
The top 4, I'm already in disagreement with.
Yeah,
but
we know.
Let's just slam a tier break in and fucking
Yeah,
go
let's
ham.
drag one of these tier. You can just drag the tier break, but I like that system. Okay, so then
Okay.
Boston definitely the bottom.
yes, Boston are at the bottom of
Toronto
that
probably
tier.
a little bit above them.
Yeah, because Toronto don't look good.
I'm gonna say I
across-
think Washington's better than Florida, and I don't know why. And it may be stupid to even say that.
I don't know.
But
Honestly, I don't know.
I think
No.
just
I'm not
from
too high on
watching
Florida
them,
either. I'm not too
I
high
think
on
they
Florida
may
either.
be better.
Florida's only played one style this entire year. They've only played one style.
Yeah,
and
beyond the May. And
Yeah,
like,
they've never
Yeah.
even tried to diversify.
No.
And to be fair, you could say a little bit about the Atlanta Reign in that sense as well. They've only really played bunker. They haven't shown us anything else.
I thought Aim God was really sick this week.
No,
as well.
no, get Atlanta back up there.
Get Atlanta back up.
Houston, though, is the tough one,
Yeah?
right? Like,
Is Houston better than Florida?
yes.
I would say so.
Are
Are they better than Washington?
I don't know,
Are they
dude.
better than Washington?
Are you fucking on crack?
So
Like,
the
what?
thing is,
I want Josh to go there. I
when
want
they-
Josh to push them all the way.
so when they play the divey kind of style, they are legitimately one of the best teams that we've seen so far at that divey kind of style. When they play
Muma's
Blase on the
Winston's
Doom,
sick,
or
yeah.
when they like Dante on Tracer clapped soon in that game against Paris.
Yes, Dante is
Dante's
Very
very
good.
legit. But the problem with Houston is they have to play the comps that they're comfortable with, otherwise they are dog shit.
Yeah.
So how
And
do
they're
you
not
rank a
good
team
at-
like that consistently?
They're not good at Ryan comps.
Yeah, they're not good at Ryan comps. So with Winston banned, like they're just hard counters Houston.
But they're not.
but they
playing
don't
this weekend.
play. But
Yeah,
in
they
the
don't.
future, though, when Winston does get banned, they'll have issues.
I don't know where to put them.
I would
If you
put
were
them below
ranking,
Florida.
if you didn't see any of those teams play, right? I guess just rank their roster from top to bottom.
Oh, their roster is poo-poo tier, though. Like, the thing about the Outlaws is that they perform better than their roster.
Right.
Well, their roster isn't poo-poo
Their
tier.
roster's not
I mean,
poo
but
compared to the
good
rest of those
players.
teams
But it
in
has-
there.
it has fundamental flaws in it, I think. It's not poo-poo tier across the board, but it has fundamental flaws.
Johnny, what about your boys on Toronto?
Are we getting stuck in the weeds here?
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit.
Yeah.
Why? What's the weeds?
I mean,
I think everything's sorted apart from the Outlaws.
I think
isn't
it's honestly so hard to tell that it's almost like sort of pointless.
Well, what?
I think like okay, number 13 or 14.
No, when we have 10 teams we
pool.
can't rank, we gotta at least rank the bottom 5 of the other 5. Like,
I will
else we're
say,
just ranking the same 5 teams.
I
Every
mean,
week.
just seeing London that high just makes me question my existence. But
Yeah.
at the
Right,
same
yeah,
time,
like I don't know why they're how'd they end
Glister
up
and
there?
Brennon,
Yeah,
I think they should be there.
they probably are the strongest out of those.
I think here's my argument for the Houston Outlaws
Okay.
is that in the one thing of hero pools we saw so far, they immediately discovered the best meta to play and executed on it despite the fact that certain players were uncomfortable and played it very, very well.
What happens if Diva got banned for a week for them? you
Meko's
worried
shown
about-
that he's all right at Sigma. He's been able to play Zarya and Roadhog in the past to a reasonable level.
Yeah.
I don't think that they'd be amazing at like a Ryan Zarya
Would they
or a
play
Orisa.
Spree for that
Orisa
week?
Sigma might actually be okay for them.
Yeah.
Orisa compositions they should be okay at. I think you have to give Outlaws the benefit over the Justice at least, and probably London. Like I think
Yeah.
you have to put Outlaws at the top of the pack for now, like until they continue to shit the bed in the future.
Muma may be the best main tank out of those main tanks on the 5
Oh my god,
teams.
what a hot take that is! I
Hold on,
don't.
why have you put Outlaws above London?
Well, why would they not be? I know they're 1 and 5.
Yeah.
No, 2 and 5 now.
2 and 5.
Yep.
2 and 5. But the
They
Houston
lost
Outlaws are going to
to
benefit
Boston
so much
Uprising.
from hero pools, I think, as long as Winston.
And they have
isn't
off
banned.
till week 9. So they have a lot of time to just kind of
I
work on some shit.
am not on board.
Yeah, I'm
with
not on board.
I mean,
I'm
I
not
don't
on
know.
board.
I don't think they're better than one.
I don't
It's
even.
so hard to judge these teams.
Yeah,
I would. Put
I would
them
be happy
below
putting them-
Washington.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, I think Outlaws exist somewhere between there and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
And,
fair.
and it's unknowable, honestly, because
Yeah.
it all comes down to whether or not they actually continue to adapt to hero pools. Really
And I
well
think
in the
they could be
future.
better than Washington.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if they faced up last week, they would have beaten Washington and London. And
I
Probably.
think they were the best team
Yeah.
that weekend. Houston.
I think
Nah.
Houston would have matched
Yeah.
up poorly against Atlanta.
I think they were the best team that weekend.
I think it was pretty much their most optimal meta though, and I don't think we'll see Houston that good in a long time.
I
They're
don't
not
know whether
playing
it was
for
the
a long
optimal
time,
meta.
so-
They, like Blase Doomfist kind of thing, like they were playing before. I think was even better for them.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying. I think there will be a lot of weeks until we see Houston.
Yes.
playing a
That
composition
sounds like
that.
a good argument, except when I say that to myself, my brain replies with, "You can play dive most weeks."
So you're saying I'm dumber than you?
Yes.
I'm saying that the counter argument to that is a lot of weeks. I think you'll be able to get away with playing dive
Look,
just
I
because
just-
it works across a
There
variety of
are
different places.
a lot of players I respect on the Houston Outlaws, but not all of them.
Let's,
And so
uh,
I'd rather see Washington and London above.
Let's talk
Sure.
about the experimental card changes that happen.
Hold on. 1 second.
Yeah, what do you
Can we
want
go
to
back
do?
the
What do you
power
want to do?
rankings?
Oh god.
I just want to move
Another
the
20 minutes,
second tier. So can you move one of the other tier breaks in between Shock and Boston?
Oh yeah,
because
put 3
put
tier
a
breaks
bunch
between
in.
those.
Because what I've been noticing is these power rankings get posted on social media, and the plebeians just assume that we have rated Shock below Boston.
Put more tier breaks.
More,
in. Put
we
more
need
tier
more.
breaks.
We need more.
Yeah,
Like
put them all
of
in.
All of them.
No, that's
There we go. That's
There you go.
perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So there you go.
Kurt's a genius.
We have 3 power rankings in one.
Yep.
Ta-da!
We did it. Right. Yep.
I don't
We've-
agree with the
we've
Shanghai
changed-
Seoul.
We
power
changed
ranking.
the game. Well, I mean, look,
As
we're
it-
not.
that's
I'm not.
the thing
I'm
that
not
you disagree
arguing
with.
that because who the fuck knows? The experimental card changes. Let's talk about that stuff. These are like. So I guess what they're going to start doing is like almost using the experimental card like to change like minor
Yeah.
PTR like changes.
I love that. I think that's great because PTR was never accessible for console as well. Experimental card is, so you get the console
And I
feedback.
think it's just more of like you don't get anything for it,
The
right?
must-
So
kitty
Hello,
cat. Hey, cat.
hello.
Hello. I'm allergic to cats.
I'm
Please
allergic
don't.
to cats as well.
Please don't
Right,
put the
well,
cats near us.
Bye bye.
See you, Aria.
You go now.
Yep.
You go now.
Bye.
Okay.
See ya. Bye bye.
That's the most interesting part of the podcast.
All right.
Last week we had Jake as a special guest. This
Yeah.
week we have
Now we've got
Aria.
Aria.
The experimental card playlist. We can take a look at some of the changes. So Bob is now immune to being slept, so he can actually be used.
I was having this discussion last night with a couple of just casual Overwatch fans that were at a bar.
Yeah.
They were just saying they hate playing Ashe because Bob is just shite.
Yeah.
He really is just shite.
We saw him used by the Florida Mayhem this weekend. He just ran up on the high ground on Blizzard World and then stopped and got slept instantly.
I still don't think this helps.
What if it worked as like a pet in so many other games, like World of Warcraft, League of Legends, whatever, that Bob just followed Ashe around wherever he walked?
I think
could shoot while walking.
But I think that takes away the cool part of him being able to like contest objectives.
and run behind people like that. Might
that takes
actually
away
be even worse.
the thing about him that's really bad, that he just charges in alone on a point and just stands there.
Well, now that
and
he
then
can't be slept, it's perfect.
It actually does have a big difference, though. I think that like Bob being slept just actually killed the ultimate completely.
Yeah.
At least now you have to kill him
Bob
or
can
run
be-
away from
Or
him.
move around him.
No, because I
He can
think
be killed
but-
very easily as well.
well,
yeah, he can be killed super
So
easily.
I'm not the most experienced Ashe player in the world, but I can I can imagine that for people who are like below diamond, it's actually quite hard to land Bob in like a good area, like to launch him into a good position where he actually does a lot of stuff. Because normally,
Are we saying the people below diamond can't
players,
aim at a direction and hit Q?
Yeah.
No, you're
Yes.
such a fucking straw man.
Yeah.
I'm fucking this dude. Like
People are like-
I think bad players, they're just like enemy team, Bob.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then he ends up on the fucking the other side of the point and he's just shooting a wall.
A lot of people, they panic.
Maybe I have
when they
more
play
faith
Ashe.
in people that play Overwatch.
I've watched
I
some
don't know.
low-level streams, and when they
I look
play
at you,
Ashe,
I don't have faith in you, man.
My Ashe is fine.
Bob gets sent in, and Bob is either running off the map or he's underneath a ledge and he's not shooting it anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
I
they
think
just
it'd be
panic
cool.
and
I think it'd
use
be
it.
cool if he followed Bob Ashe around. It's like a bodyguard kind of thing.
Baptiste gets 2 buffs in a way.
Infernal,
That
but in
is
Overwatch.
questionable to me.
But
I think Baptiste
Baptiste-
is in a very good position.
I think
it
he's
seems
gonna-
like it's personal buffs
Yeah.
to him when he's already very good.
I like it because it makes him feel more active. I do think he's a bit too strong, but I do like that reduced cooldowns make him feel like a more active hero. And
I
not
think
like a healing cannon that just stands like boop,
I think
boop, boop.
this is fine as long as it also comes with some problem or some nerf to the immortality field.
Immortality.
Yeah.
The immortality field has always been the biggest problem with Baptiste,
Yeah.
and that's
Yep.
one of the
Yeah,
like
I've suggested in the past reduced AoE for the immortality field or just reduced health.
Yeah, I think that it needs to fundamentally be changed, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
the idea that you can hide immortality field around a corner or behind an object and you just can stay in the area with the entirety of your team is bullshit. Like it's a really,
Or
really
something like
bad.
if you like the immortality
ability.
field like just sucks up a base amount of damage, and then as soon as it's done,
Yeah,
like
if you do damage to the
disappears.
people in it,
Exactly.
it damages
Yes,
the
it
thing.
damages
Like,
the
something
field.
like that.
That'd be cool.
Boosters, the diva gets increased from 3 to
that's a
4
reverse,
seconds.
right?
Yeah,
that
that's
is
a
a
reverse.
that's a direct
That's-
reverse.
No. That's the cooldown. That's not the flying time.
No,
No,
but that was the
that
buff.
was the
buff
buff.
they
was
did
the
this- yeah,
cooldown.
they-
Oh,
they
so
The
did that
cooldown was
already.
changed from
Oh
4
my
to
God.
3.
Kitty cat.
Aria.
Come on.
Oh, it's literally front seat.
She wants to.
Hustle your cat.
Aria.
Okay.
We
Well,
can get back into the
well,
changes.
okay.
Now
We
she's
just
just
got a
laying
cat.
down
A
here.
cat.
We've acquired a cat.
Yeah.
We're both allergic.
Oh,
It's
Arya's like, what the hell? You guys don't want me?
Don't knock that off the table. Get
All right.
out of here, Aria.
Okay.
May Ice Wall, the cooldown increased from 10 to 13 seconds. Thank the Lord. I mean,
Yeah, I quite like that change.
what if you
I
just deleted that
hate
ability?
Ice wall. Just reduce
Yeah, what if
the
you just
health.
remove the ability?
Like it's like at least make it penetrable.
No, because that is the identity of May. They wanted a character that could change the geometry. The map. They wanted to change a character that could
Yeah.
have an impact in that way.
Yeah.
But I think a cooldown change achieves it. Oh no! Now the cat's
Yeah.
behind a TV.
What is he gonna do behind the TV, bro?
Pull out a
nothing.
cable.
I like this change. I think that Ice Wall is a great ability to have in the game because it allows a certain style of play. Like it's a whole style of play that May allows. The problem is when May is just bonkers powerful and there's
Yep.
nothing you can do against her. And that comes down to a bunch of her other abilities as well. Like the fact that she has just a get out of jail free card with her freeze that not only makes her invulnerable but also heals her back up. But the Ice Wall
Arisa's
change is
primary fire gets a 1 point of damage more. Cool. Sigma, the gravitic flux. So the cost is reduced by 10%, and then he's faster in the air by 30%.
I quite like this.
I think that's a fine change because
Yeah.
his ult took especially after his damage reduction. His ult obviously takes longer to charge up. So
I think two against
that's to keep it in line with keeping it consistent where it was previously.
and his
And
ult can
his
now
ult
be
was always like I'm a target in the sky.
Right.
Please focus
And
me.
it can now be cancelled, which previously it couldn't be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, or it couldn't be as before he had lifted.
Helix rocket cooldown from 8 to 6. I think that's pretty,
This
Hell
pretty
yeah.
good for the
This
legs,
is
dude.
interesting and significant, I think, because people are going to look at this and think it's not a significant change, but that's a 25% decrease in cooldown,
Yeah.
going from 8 to 6.
and
So
it's the
last
kind
one.
of thing that you want to just use
on cooldown.
Right.
And it's going to increase its damage output a lot if you can aim them.
This
So-
last one, though, I feel like is the biggest change.
Why would you buff Sombra? I
And
just literally
especially
I don't
because
understand
the
this.
only real big difference between like her and Tracer's flankers is like Sombra just can't like finish players off as like quickly and bursty as Tracer can. But now that she's like what, her gun's like 50 bullets to the clip or 60 bullets.
I look at Sombra.
like now her spread decreases by 10%.
I think they're making
like,
this change for the lower levels of play because Sombra.
she's hard to kill people with.
Yeah, well, Sombra is just like inherently a weaker DPS, but her strength is basically entirely in her kit in hacks.
coordinated
And
team.
coordinated team play, which doesn't exist at lower
Well-
levels. So they're increasing her individual capabilities to make her.
That's why
more
she's
powerful
always
at
been
lower
difficult
levels.
to balance because like when she's powerful in team play and like higher ranked, kind of like Owl, and even like on the ladder,
Yeah.
she has actually one of the worst win rates overall
Yeah.
because she's so team oriented
it's-
that
It's okay to have heroes that are bad at lower levels of play and
Yeah.
better at higher levels of
Yeah.
play.
Every
It's
other
okay.
game has this.
It's okay to have that. You don't need to try and keep everything at a perfect 50% win rate at all levels of skill.
Right.
You know?
yep.
Yeah.
And then our second go at it, everybody was so happy the last time we did this. It's a segment we
Is
can
this
end
our
the show
sponsored
on.
segment?
Everyone
Every
shush,
time
shush,
it's
shush.
sponsored by Bren. It's
Listen.
Bren's Player of the Week. What is this? Is
It's
that
my player of
it?
the week. Yeah. So
Were you supposed to be green screened to look
To
like
do
something?
something? Yeah.
we don't really know what we're gonna do with it. I will say this: a lot of people are gonna be a lot of gachi bases. I had to make my bulge look very unthreatening. So there was a lot of tucking action going on.
I would go
Well,
the
we know
opposite
this,
direction.
we know
I would
this will
just throw
only
down
ever
socks in
be
there. I
sponsored
just
by
expand.
Bren.
Dude, no, actually, I got many requests to sponsor Bren's segment of the week.
Oh
Yeah.
my
I
god!
got
So-
like 5 different people DM'd me and said, "Hey, I can only offer you like a painting or a sub."
We
So
should
the
we
idea-
should sell it to random people.
The idea is the green screen will be keyed in, I think, with the sponsor.
Genius,
So
genius.
The sponsor will be on my body.
So and for this week it's you. So there,
Yeah,
you were on your
so
own body then.
This year, my player of the week.
Years.
Year.
This week, my player of the week is the Paris Eternals coaching staff.
What the?
goes completely
player.
It's not
9K.
player. It goes completely away from player of the week. But
9K Rush, Aid.
which one is who's
Levi.
that? Other coaches?
That's 9K.
I
That's
wanna see
9K.
Bren
Yeah.
see if he knew
Yeah,
who the
so-
coaches were.
So that's 9K. But I want to give credit to them. I think they've done a phenomenal job in a meta that, where, Xy's comfort heroes kind of got taken out a little bit. I think they did a great job of getting a turnaround from one day to the next with very little time to adjust.
Can we play that clip again? I like Sideshow's reactions when he's doing the interviews. He's just nodding his head like, like over and over again.
I think the Paris Eternals coaching staff have done really well this week, and I think that this
they're not a
was-
player.
I am so disappointed.
They lost. I mean, they failed.
Yeah.
Like they failed to find a meta that was appropriate and fielded Ben Best on Winston.
Yep. And what I'd say to that is apples and oranges, Josh. the Outlaws, I think, were the best team that weekend, and
That's so hard to tell when you're playing against Ben Best on Winston
I think
and
looking at the entire
Nico on
teams
Sombra.
that played that weekend, I would say the Outlaws were the best. But
I think
Paris,
that's possible.
I quite like that. I just like the adjustments they made, and that screams to me that they are a team that recognize what they did wrong. Whereas there's probably 10 teams in this league that would have just done the exact same shit next day.
Yeah.
I am so
But
disappointed.
you could have
in your
like
segments.
celebrated one of the players on the team, like
Exy.
Exy, who popped
Exy was
off
so
on
good.
Hanzo or something.
Bro,
yeah.
no one talks about a coaching staff. The point about my player of the week is I highlight the niche sections of the Overwatch
Players.
League that no one else
Players,
wants to
yeah,
look
yeah.
at. Everyone talks about the players, bro.
Right,
but
right.
Bren.
Listen,
If you ask me what my favorite food is, I can't say beer.
but it could be considered a type of food.
So
It
a
has
coach is a
calories.
type
Yes.
of player.
But no, but like when I say player, I mean this is just my favorite thing of the week.
Oh, Bren's favorite thing of the week. Bren's player of the week.
But it's not as sexy as player of the week.
Let me throw this hypothesis at you, Bren, because I think this is probably went down in the Paris thing. They think that Sombra Trace is the best. They don't want to field No Smite because Ben Best's always been with the team. They field the roster. They shit the bed. They lose to Houston. They go, all right, players, just do your own thing.
Yep. Is that not a good example of good coaching?
That is an example of
To remove
removing the coaching.
To remove your own hubris, not hubris, your own arrogance of assuming that you have the best idea.
Paris
to
Eternal
remove
number
yourself from
one,
the
Brennan
equation.
Hook.
But we cannot deny that Paris have looked way better from last year to this year
Oh, yeah, no,
on an
yeah,
individual
yeah,
basis.
absolutely,
The
yeah,
improvements have been there, and my question mark was, how are they going to be able to coach during like this hero pool turnaround? And I think they proved that they have what it takes to recognize what their mistakes are, and I don't think they're going to be making the same mistakes as they did in the first day against Houston in the future.
That's an interesting hypothesis.
This is why I think Paris were number one out of the teams that we've seen so
fucking
far. I think they
12
deserve to
head
be
fucking
my
play.
player of the week. So do you know what? Paris Eternal coaching staff, Rush, 9K, Levi, Aid, well done.
Well, what do you got to say about the Boston Uprising?
Just piss off. Like genuinely piss off. Like seriously.